In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make your own lavender door wreath. Or to be honest, this could be used indoors. The smell here is just amazing. Like, don't be afraid, don't be put off if I actually fall asleep here with the smell of lavender. It's just so relaxing. So what I did was went out to the garden and sourced all our lavender. So it's a bit of a mess here, okay, because there was a bit of prep work. So what I did, and this is a little bit time consuming, okay, was I went through and I kind of picked up all the strands and I made small little bunches. And as you can see, I don't have all the heads exactly the same height or length. I kind of have them a little bit uneven. What I'm then going to do is pinch them together, cut off the stems, but keep all that rubbish because I'm going to use all that rubbish. Then using a florist wire, a 20 gauge or a 22 gauge. If you've never done this before, you'll probably find the 22 gauge much easier because that's the lighter version of the wire. The 20 gauge is heavier, and to be honest, it makes no difference to the technique. So basically you're getting your 20 gauge wire or your 22. You're making what we call a hairpin bend, just like a little hook at the top of the wire. You're resting it on the ends of the stems of the material that you want to wire together. With your stronger hand, I'm right-handed, hold the wire halfway down and then you wrap the wire around the bunch 2 or 3 times, straighten out, and to be honest you don't need that wire, so I'm going to cut the wire back off again. Now I'm kind of fairly economical, I'd have a strong hand, and what I was able to do with the surplus piece of wire I cut off, I was able to use that piece of wire to wire my second bunch. So in total I have about 30 bunches of the lavender. It's not that I'm saying that's the number that you need, but that's all I was able to get out of the bunch that I salvaged, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the actual stems of the lavender. The smell of this is just amazing as well. So what you'll need now is a 10-inch wire ring and a roll of real wire, or even a roll of twine would do the same job. So what we're going to do now, this is a bit like recycling, okay, is you're getting all the rubbish stems, and there is small little bits of lavender in there as well. And I'm not bending it over. You know, if you've watched me before when I'm mossing up a frame or putting straw or Q-press branches on a frame, I normally bunch it together and I normally describe it as a fat sausage. Well, with these, I'm actually leaving them straight. I'm not actually bunching them together. So I'm not bending them over is what I meant to say. So get a couple, like, you know what I mean, keep all the strands straight and make a nice thick bunch there. So you can kind of see, I'm just turning it around there, it's a fairly decent bunch. Now what you could do, and all the rubbish that's on the table, push it all over, because I'm going to use all of this rubbish, okay? First thing first is actually attach the real wire to the roll, to your wire ring. So just stick that through. If you're using a ball of twine, just tie a knot on here. Anything at all will do. And there we are, attached onto our wire frame. And by the way, these wire frames do come in different sizes. I'm using the 10-inch because by the amount of lavender I have, I'm reckoning I'll only be able to cover this size frame. So get your bunch of lavender stems. Now again, it's amazing. You think the smell only comes off the actual flower. The smell of these, oh my God, it's potent nearly. So you're going to rest it onto the wire ring. Don't worry that's sticking out on either edge. I'll show you how I can fix that in a few minutes, okay? So get your roll of real wire and wrap it around and pull it really tight. Wrap it around again and pull it really tight. Leave about 2 centimetres, a good inch gap in between each wrap around. Wrap it around, pull it really tight. Now when the stems are sticking out, can you see the way I'm slightly moulding them around, okay? Bending them or curving them around to the frame. What's happening now, it's getting a little bit thin, right? So that's what it looks like so far. Don't worry about either end sticking out. Wait till you see how I'll sort that out. So now get yourself another bunch. So just literally get all the rubbish, kind of straighten it together. You need to be real particular about having it dead straight now. Get a nice kind of decent bunch of it. This one is pretty long, but it'll be fine. And what I'm going to do is where it's a bit narrower, I didn't plan that, it's just when you take it up off the table, that's normally what happens. So where it's a little bit thinner here, I'm going to let that overlap to the thinner piece that's sticking out on the frame. I'm bunching it all in together, and again with the real wire, I'm wrapping it around. Pull it really tight, leave about an inch gap, wrap it around. Now again, I'm moulding the branches in around the circular frame, okay? Just use the wire to pull it really tight. So again, you can see the way I'm curving it in. Pull the wire really tight, curve it in, pull the wire really tight. mold it in, and just keep going around and around and around. And to be honest, this is not easy, and I'm talking while I'm doing it. Now again, what's happening, it's getting a little bit thin here, but you can also see it's thin at that end. Now in a few seconds, this is what's going to happen. Can you see the way it's going to curve around? But I could just do an extra little bit of thickness there. It's a little bit thin. So I'm lucky because I just still have a few more little bits of rubbish off the table. So I'm bunching it all. Do you know what? There's all that fine lavender. If you had little bags, do you see the way you could put that all into little bags? Put it under your pillow, and I tell you, you'd be unconscious in no way.
Into the bath tonight, Janette.
Into the bath, that's what I'll do. But I get all this rubbish up, so that's what I'm going to do. Grab all the rubbish, okay, that's still around the table. Kind of like rest it onto the base there. Don't worry about the bits sticking out, okay, where I've just added that on, because I'm going to go around a second time. So again, I'm bunching it in onto the frame, and then the bit that was sticking out from the far end, I'm just kind of catching it all together here, catching the real wire around, and around we go. And again, I'm going to bunch in them bits there that's sticking out. There's some lavender flowers still on the ends of some of them branches, so I obviously missed them. Can you see the way it's turning out? Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm going around a second time, and I'm kind of catching in. Do you see the bits that was sticking out? Now it's still going to be rough and ready, okay? It's not going to be perfectly neat and tidy. But if you know, I was only saying to Deirdre, when I'd done one of these earlier on, so just to show you this one I did earlier on, and I was saying, do you know, if you just put this under your bed, or even in the end of your wardrobe, or on top of the wardrobe, like the smell in the bedroom would be absolutely fabulous. Or even in your bathroom, you know, that way, it's not, you know, it's not gorgeous looking, I know, because I haven't got any flowers on it yet, but just even the branches, as I said, the scent of it is just amazing. So just if you had loads of it, because out of the bunches that I was able to get, the 30 bunches of lavender, I got enough rubbish. There's very little rubbish left on the table now, and I got enough rubbish to make actually 2 of these frames. So one of the frames I'm going to use with the lavender that's all wired up there. But the second frame, what I'll do is I'll use it maybe with other dried flowers that I happen to have here. Not lavender, okay? Just other dried flowers. But I'll use the lavender base, and it'll give that lovely scent. And especially if I had something that was maybe purple in colour to start off with. You know the way, like, what'll happen is when people see it, they'll actually think, when they get the lavender smell and they see the lavender purpley shades, they'll actually think that the smell is actually off it. So there I am, just going around the second time. I'm probably going a little bit more than the second time, but I'm just going to catch in them few little straggly pieces. Straggly pieces is a Dublin word. Catch it around, and that's our base there made. So when you get to the end, all you have to do is cut off the wire, and the little piece of wire that's left over, just tuck that down into the frame, and there's your lavender frame made. And as I said, I keep going on about the smell of it, but the smell of it is just, it's intoxicating. Now, are you enjoying this tutorial so far? If you are, why not give us a share? Like, you do know on Facebook, like, we need you to share our videos, basically to build up our interaction. Or if you happen to be watching this on Instagram, why not share this to your stories? We'd really, really appreciate it. Or give us a thumbs up if you happen to be watching on YouTube. So now we're ready to attach all our bunches. So I'm going to push all them pieces out of the way. I'm not going to push them onto the floor, because I am going to try and catch up all them little seeds and maybe put them into a little pouch. So to attach your wire back on again, just hold it with your thumb, go around the spot 2 or 3 times, and there you are, attached up again. If you were already planning to go straight from the frame onto the lavender bunches, well then there was no need to cut it like I did at the beginning. But like, as I said, I had enough rubbish from the lavender stems to actually make 2 of these frames. So what you do now is you pick up one of your bunches, and I'm picking up one of the bigger ones, excuse me, and you just place it just down onto the actual frame, see, like that. And where the wire is attached around the end of the little bunch, you wrap the real wire around that just once or twice, just to hold it in place, see? Now if you'd like to make it a little bit chunkier, the secret is to come away with the wire a little bit. See, I just wrapped it around once more. And then get 2 bunches, and this time maybe go a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, but slightly stagger them, okay? As I said, I don't have that many, and I do want to try and get the best mileage out of them. If you were really miserable or skimpy with your bunches, you could keep them one, just see, directly behind the other. But what I'm going to do is I am going to go left and right just to make it that little bit chunkier. And again, they will overlap slightly, but don't overlap too much, because again, you get better mileage. Now when you have them placed onto the frame with your real wire, you ground them 2 bunches once or twice, you know what I mean, just to attach them on, and there they are in place. And again, the secret is to wrap the wire down a little bit. It's easier to do when it's placed on the table. Take up 2 more bunches. Now again, you can see they're completely different shapes and sizes, doesn't matter. Overlap them slightly, catch them, and again get your reel wire and go around that spot once or twice there, you see, just to secure it on. Now, if you had loads and loads of bunches, I'm just coming back here with my reel wire. If you had loads and loads of bunches, you could kind of go middle, right, left, and make them chunkier, you know, by doing 3 across. But as I said, I just don't want to run out because I don't have any more, and it wasn't something I bought in. So this was all lavender that was basically foraged from the garden. So as I said, the trick is once you attach the bunches, kind of come down the frame a little bit, get 2 more little bunches, slightly overlap what you've done already. Now if say you picked up the bunches and maybe one of the bunches was a little bit skimpier, because you can see there, like I just kind of grabbed them and they're all different sizes. So if you felt that you needed a 3rd bunch, just add it in, like, you know what I mean? Like there's no real kind of like rules with making these lavender door wreaths or wall hangings. And again, just to hold it up, just to let you see it so far. It's so easy to do. And if you have maybe children at home, you could get them involved in this as well. And yes, probably if you hung this on a door outside, if it got wet, it'd probably go a little bit soggy. But then think, sure, the lavender's been growing outside, hail, rain, snow, ice, tornadoes, and whatever that we happen to get in Ireland. But this would do as an indoor wreath as well. And again, as I said, maybe on the back of your bedroom door or your bathroom door or even in your hallway, etc. So again, I'm just continuing on, wrapping it around. And I just can't get over the scent. It's just amazing. Seemingly the variety of this lavender is called Vera, V-E-R-A. And I think that's how you spell it, and that's how you pronounce it anyway. And it's exceptionally strong, it is. So you continue on, like I'm probably taking my time because I'm talking, you know what I mean? But if I was doing them, I'd be flying through these. As you can see, you just kind of like keep wrapping them on. So I'm nearly at the end, okay? And I'm lucky enough, I'm going to make out no problem at all. So I must have counted it. As I said, I think I had 30 bunches, 28 or 29 bunches approximately. Now what happens is when you get near the joining, so where you started, it's kind of like lift up the ones that you started with and tuck the end pieces of wire in underneath it, okay? And then just when you're bringing the wire around, try not to flatten down the tips of the very first bunch that you put on. So again, I'm lifting it up, and I'm just tucking these ones, I've got one of them in there, tucking 2 of these in there, and then letting the rest back down, just to kind of like let you see how it's joining up. And when you're bringing the wire around this time, you don't want to come this way, because see the way you're going to flatten it. So I call it, if you've watched me before, the wiggle and wangle technique, you know what I mean? So I'm wiggling the wire in and out through the little bunches so that I don't flatten them. Now just kind of feel up here, it could do with another 1 or 2 bunches, just to kind of finish it off. So I'm just resting this one on the outside. And again, I'm doing my wiggle and wangle kind of like technique, just to kind of catch it in there nice and secure. And I'll probably get 1 more, just going back a little bit, just to catch it. And I'm just trying to make it even, so it doesn't look like you can see like the beginning or the start or the finish of where I actually started the wreath or where I finished. So again, just a little bit of wiggling and wangling in and out through there just to secure it. And this is what it looks like so far. So the last thing then is the wire at the back, okay? So it could be at the front, but wherever your wire is, you're going to cut off that wire and you're going to stick the wire down in among the rushes or the reeds of the lavender, just so that it's not sticking out. And the last thing then is I'm going to add a little bow. So I'm just going to cut this wire and tuck it in. So we cut off our wire, tuck it in there among the rushes and the reeds, and you can kind of see like the back of the wire frame. That looks amazing. And now what I want to do is just get a little bow, but you don't have to add a bow. But I'm just going to have a look and see if I've got a nice little lavender purple bow just to add as a decoration. So we just found this in the bottom of the press. We always have ends of ribbon, and you get into the habit that you throw absolutely nothing out. It's even got to the stage, if a box of chocolates comes into the house and there's a nice satin ribbon on it, I'm saying, don't throw that ribbon out, we may need that colour, you never know. Our biggest saying here at the school is, you never know when that might come in handy. So I'm going to do the collar bow. I don't want the bow to be too big. So you know the bow where I talk about around the neck and the back of the collar brought into the front. And there's our little bow, and I'm now going to make a double version of it. So I'm going to wind up the ribbon that I make a 3rd loop and wind it back down again that I make a 4th loop. It is a lot harder to do this sort of bow with fabric, and if you do find it difficult, what you could do is just do a single one and then maybe make a second single one and then join them together. I'm going to pinch this in the centre. We have, if you go to the blogs on our website, so our website is called flowerschoolireland.com. And if you go to the website and look up the blogs and go down through all the different tutorials, there's lots of free tutorials there on how to make bows. So again, if you needed an extra bit of tuition. Now again, if you're enjoying this tutorial, make sure to share it, okay? This is why we go on here live, is to get some sharing and a bit of interaction. And again, if you're watching on Instagram, maybe share it to your stories. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you give it the thumbs up. Or if you do know maybe some friends that enjoy flowers, excuse me, maybe the lavender's getting to me, maybe tag their names in the comments below, and again, it just kind of make them aware that they can watch this tutorial. So now I'm just going to fancy off our little ribbons here at the end. So I just fold them over and I do a little cut on a 45-degree angle. Hopefully the scissors is sharp enough, it is. And that's how I get to see that little V there at the bottom. So there's our little bow there to add to the top of our lavender wreath. But to be honest, like by habit, I'm always going for the top, which there's nothing wrong in adding it to the bottom. And I actually think, will we go with the top or the bottom? I think the bottom looks nice, okay? So to add the bow, what you can do is bring it to the edge of your table. Pick a spot that you might say, it's a little bit, you know, messy there. So I see one little spot that I think is a little bit messy. So that's where I'm going to add the bow. Get the wire and stick it down through the top of the frame until it comes through the bottom. So you kind of have to poke it a little bit because it has to go through all them little branches and you know all the mess and the wires that I wrapped around. So I'll just hold this up now just to let you see it. So that's the bow going through the top there. And there's the wire, you see, after coming through the other side. And what you do at the back, I'll hold it there that you can see it. What you do at the back, I'm going to cut a small bit off this wire because it's quite long, is make a little hook like a U-bend and then stick the U-bend back down into, or up sideways, into the frame, just that there's no wire sticking out. And there you go, you can go back then and you can tidy up the bow and fix it back, put your fingers in between the loops, pull out your two tails that they're right and left, and there's your little bow on side there, ready for your door wreath. Now the other thing you could do is you could put a little hanger on this to hang it on your door. Again, you could use some fabric, but I probably, if there's a I know there shouldn't be a nail on the back of your door, but if there's a little nail on the back of the door, all you'd have to do is actually hook it on it, and wouldn't that be absolutely gorgeous? So I hope you enjoyed that very, very simple step-by-step tutorial. Keep an eye out because we're always posting free tutorials here on our Case Flower School page, also on our Instagram and on YouTube. Make sure to share, that's really important because we know when you share it, okay? So share them. The more you share, the more free tutorials I will post to the pages. So again, make sure you tag your friends, give us the thumbs up, definitely share the love, and listen, thanks a million for joining us.